This is David Lee with the Legislative Snapshot for Week 16, May 7th, 2026. As we expected, the committees were not very busy this week. There was just one that took testimony. In the House, the Children and Families Committee heard and execed out Senate Bill 1002, a bill by Senator Schnelting that would move the St. Charles Board of Elections to November. It should have been heard maybe by Education or Elections logically, but this committee has several reps from St. Charles on it. Testimony was 2-1 against this bill, and we were a part of that opposition. The committee pulled no punches about the reason for this bill. They want party affiliation to let voters know candidates' ideologies. They feel that people with certain ideologies, like the low turnout in April because elections are driven, according to them, by teachers' unions. They also believe, with national offices on the ballot, that people will vote party line on candidates. And then the Republicans, will once again prevail with folks who share their conservative ideology. However, Missourians may vote straight party to put people in office, but they vote very differently on issues and in local elections. This bill is absolutely a response to the mobilization efforts of organizations like MOWEP who have worked to take back boards packed by candidates advocating for things like censorship, who have the backing of national organizations with deep pockets. What the proponents fail to realize is that the local districts around the state have already sent a message about ideology with their votes since 2021 and have rejected the narrower ideologies for the proponents of this bill want to prevail. Everyone has the exact same opportunity to get out and vote in April. Some just choose not to do so. We oppose this bill because it usurps control by requiring terms to move from 2 or 3 years to 4 years, as well as making it prohibitively expensive for candidates to run unless they are in fact backed by organizations with deep pockets. Finally, it makes sense for April elections so boards are not seated in the middle of the school year and have the opportunity to complete board training so they're not trying to build the plane while they're flying it. We don't know what the appetite for this bill is outside of St. Charles or like minded communities, but we will continue to follow it closely. In the Senate, the Family, Seniors, and Health Committee voted out House Bill 2536, Lobbinger's bathroom bill, which puts it closer to the calendar. On the chamber floors, both the House and the Senate focused on conference reports for the budget. There was controversy surrounding House Bill 2002, the DESE budget. The Senate Conference Committee members were under the impression that money would be put back into the budget from more reliable sources, while the House chair framed it as a misunderstanding. There was a call from Senate Democrats and Senator Huff for Chairman Black to reject the report, the conference report, and return to conference to fix the error. He felt the matter could be resolved with a future bill. Disappointingly, Senator Black chose to ask the body to reject that substitute motion, and so they did, and the conference report was approved by the Senate. All three budget bills we were following were truly agreed to and finally passed and will move on to the governor's office. House Bill 2002 DESE's budget still was not fully funded with the foundation formula. We opposed this bill. It barely passed the House with a constitutional majority and had bipartisan opposition in the Senate, and that was the bill that had the controversy. House Bill 2003, Higher Education and Workforce Development, took out the new funding formula that the House wanted, which led several Democrats in the Senate to then support the bill. We still oppose this bill because it contains anti DEI language. And House Bill 2012, the budget which houses the funding for vouchers, kept the $10 million additional dollars for vouchers in a time when public education has to, quote, tighten its belt, end quote. We opposed this, and we were not alone. Opposition was bipartisan in both chambers, but the bill still passed. What's coming up next week? Besides my absolute joy that it's the last week, Not much. In committees, there are no Senate committees scheduled for next week, and the House only has rules committees slated on their agendas. And Senate Bill 1002, the Board of Elections bill we just talked about, could come out of that committee. And Senate Bill 1351, which now houses A to F accountability, is likely to get voted out of rules next week. And Senate Bill 1652, the bill that would create an office in the Department of Public Safety to investigate missing and murdered African American women and girls, was reported on Thursday and could be assigned to a rules committee, but it hasn't yet. As for the floor debate, in the Senate, there are a few bills that could still move across the finish line. Deed restriction for charters, we oppose that. Literacy retention, we oppose that. Gifted education, we support that. Screen time reduction with a financial transparency for public schools only. Bathroom bills and sunset removals on transgender healthcare and athletes, all of which we oppose, could also be heard. In the House, your guess is as good as mine. The legislative week has one more day this week, Friday, May 8th, so some of this could change. The final week is a lot of listening and breath holding. Please note there will not be a snapshot next week. We will cover everything in our end of the year report, which I am working to have ready by May 16th because I leave for a month-long road trip on May 17th. There is one more week. The end is near. We can make it.